We are live, but we're letting it
Oh,
breathe, baby,
man.
because you know how it is. We gotta make sure the entirety of the MHH clan is under one tent here, and we'll get this party started. And it looks like we are good. So welcome in, everybody. It is the gut reaction episode of the Huddle Up podcast, presented as always by Mile High Huddle, powered by Blue Wire Podcasts. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me is my fellow football priest and the deputy editor of milehighhuddle.com, Zack Kelberman. Zack, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
How about them Broncos?
How about them Broncos, Chad? You know, it's funny. I have so much to say and so much we're going to get into, but I wrote for my roundtable, I said, picking the Broncos to win is like touching a hot stove after you've been burned. And you know what? Right now, after that dreadful showing today, I need skin grafts. It's third-degree burns right now. I need all the Neosporin in the world because the Broncos have burned me for the last time now. They are pretenders. What we saw last week was simply a mirage, Chad. It was the exception, not the rule. They went right back to being the same old Broncos. They no-showed in a game today they had to have, from the coaching staff to the quarterback, almost every single player. What we saw last week weren't the true Broncos. What we saw today was closer to what the true Broncos are. They are shams. They are disgraceful when they play that way. And, you know, Broncos country booing toward the end of the game, when you have an apathetic Teddy Bridgewater making business decisions not to tackle a player on a fumble recovery, missing a wide open Tim Patrick in the end zone, those boos are warranted. Those boos are deserved. There is no shred of optimism to take from this game when you have the Chargers. Last check, they were losing. The Raiders and the Chiefs play each other tonight. They could have made up serious ground in the AFC West going into a bye week to heal up and to get stronger and to further their momentum coming off a game against the Cowboys that they dominated. But that was an outlier for the Cowboys. That wasn't, that was a fluke game for them. But it was also a fluke for Denver, Chad. That was the last we'll see of them like that in the Vic Fangio era. And I advise Broncos country to brace themselves for more results like what we saw today. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it was a tad disappointing. Appreciate you up there, Tom. He said, from heroes to zeros, Teddy's not good enough. Gordon not good enough. Belly and Cooper promising, though. Thanks, guys. Agreed. Rello Takeover. Appreciate you being with us, bro. Says, hopes and dreams going down. Dallin Joseph, I feel you. Appreciate you, Dallin. He says, they are who we thought they were. Shake my head. Yes, indeed. You know, when Teddy Bridgewater gets up to a microphone and speaks, I always love listening to this cat because he always has wise observations and insights. But Zach, a wise man does not a NFL quarterback make, right? Like Socrates probably would have been a crappy quarterback. So it's one thing to get up there and, you know, spiel platitudes that make everybody feel warm and fuzzy. And I think that is a part of, you know, it's a desired trait in a franchise quarterback. But then you have to match that with play on the field that is commensurate to what you say at the podium. And look, today I talked to my the thing I said to my son. He's like, Dad, what the heck is going on? We just saw this team truck the Cowboys. What's happening? And I said, well, son, here's the reality. Teddy Bridgewater is a average to below average quarterback unless you have a really rolling, prolific ground game. If you take that away from Teddy, man, he gets exposed really quick. You can win with Teddy. Looks like Zach's having some camera issues. Just bear with us. You can win with Teddy, gang, as we've seen. Teddy is a quarterback that you can go into games and you can win on the road and you can do things, but literally everything has to be working correctly. Yeah, we're gonna let Zach reset. He's been having some weird camera issues with his device, but let's catch up on some supers in the meantime while we get Zach back in the room. Patriot Tex, appreciate you, brother. He says, last week was the illusion. Today was the reality. Fangio's game plan sucked for the defense. Fangio will never get it done in Denver. Fire Fangio. Well, that's the way this ship is trending, right? And you know, there's a little hope. People were wondering after winning 2 in a row whether or not he was going to be able to kind of stop Zach. We're talking about whether Fangio, you know, is he going to be fired? There was some hope that he might be able to turn the ship around. But as Zach said, this was the more true reflection of who these Broncos are. utter disarray, poor communication, sloppy discipline, mental miscues, coaching snafus. I mean, it runs the gamut of, if you look up, if there was such a thing, NFL coaching incompetency, definition right there for you. Oh, now we don't have his mic. We can't hear you, buddy. If you go to the pre-room and test your stuff and then come back.
You know what's ironic, Chad?
Now we got you.
What I just said there was the football gods don't want to hear what I have to say, but I'm going to say it anyway about the Broncos. To your point about Teddy, and I'll be brief because we have to catch up. I apologize for the technical issues. I don't want a quarterback that's going to go up there and serve me platitudes and say good things up there. I don't want a quarterback, I'll say it might be petty, that sits at home with no television, doesn't go on social media, reads the newspapers, lives in the 1970s. That's all well and good when you're winning and when you're 3-0 and when you have those fluff pieces come out. But when the, ball's on the table time, Chad, what does it do for Teddy Bridgewater? Nothing. What does it do for the Broncos? Nothing. He is showing himself to be a journeyman quarterback. And I'll say this too. If Drew Lock would have given no effort on that fumble run back, if Drew Lock were to be airmailing passes and firing off hospital balls, the criticism would be a lot worse. Yet Teddy Bridgewater goes unscathed most games, but it's getting to a point now where he's playing so bad, it's not even keeping the Broncos competitive. He is showing to be what he is. And when you pair that with someone like Vic Fangio, who, by the way, repeatedly played for the field goal, you literally play not to lose and you're going to lose. And that's why the kick got blocked. It changed the whole dynamic of the game. When you pair those things together, those two elements, someone like Teddy Bridgewater and someone like Vic Fangio, and to that extent as well, Pat Shurmur, it's not a recipe for success in the modern day NFL. And the Broncos are learning the hard way, Chad. You are not going to win. You're more often going to lose handily.
Then down 3 scores in the fourth quarter with 7 minutes, you punt on fourth down. I get it, you were deep in your own territory, but what? Chris, love you, buddy. Appreciate the always sending a message, symbolic super chat on the gut reactions. Uninspired again, so frustrating, and we feel you, dude. Thank you, brother. We love you. Smith Corona, by the way, we didn't get a chance to address, as he says. That Gordon fumble sucked, but Teddy's inability to throw past the sticks and unwillingness to make a touchdown-saving tackle is just pathetic and infuriating. Bright side, I think we've got a long-term right guard, no doubt. Quinn Miners is the truth. My name's Rufus. That's the Trufus. But, Zach, people are pissed off. Broncos fans are justified to be just utterly disgusted by seeing Teddy make that business decision in what turned out to be the game-changing play. If he gets in there and just at least tries, you might be able to tackle Darius Slay, who obviously missed his calling as a running back in the league. Like, maybe he became a corner because he couldn't catch, Zach, but some coach back in Pop Warner in high school, like a decade and a half ago, missed the boat. This dude should be toting the rock. Clado Tornado changed his handle. Good to see you, buddy. Says, I'm at a breaking point with this team. I have sat for years waiting for something to change, for a spark, but never gotten it. Teams never gotten it. I don't know how much more of this I can take. Hey, it sucks right now. We're not going to try and sugarcoat this for you. All right. But this too shall pass.
Well, first of all, why was Melvin Gordon in the game getting the ball in that situation? Why not give it to the sure-handed tackle-breaking Javonte Williams and not Melvin Gordon, who has a history of fumbles? And I even tweeted a couple weeks ago, or last week, I said, 2 hands, Melvin, because he was holding the ball like a loaf of bread. These things are identifiable on film, but when you have a head coach that admittedly doesn't watch the offense, Chad, with his own eyes, this is what you get. And Teddy Bridgewater is going to receive most of the criticism for that fumble run back, as he should, for not even getting in there and trying to make a tackle. Baker Mayfield separated a shoulder trying to make a tackle on the same kind of play. But there's no reason Darius Slay should have even run that ball back as far as he did. He got around like 6 or 7 Broncos defenders, and it seemed like they quit on the play. As soon as something bad happens to them, when they get punched in the mouth, they have no response. They are a soft, weak team, and the scoreboard reflected it today.
By the way, Jeremy, thank you for the stars, buddy. Appreciate you being in the room with us. And real quick, I'm just going to flash this so everyone can see. Guys, we are only 20% away from hitting our goal for the month. And tomorrow is the middle of the month, exactly the middle. And like we promised, if we hit this goal of 200,000 stars on Facebook at the halfway point, we will reset and do another goal in the month of November to where we could be raffling off multiple jerseys to our Facebook community. So let's try and get there. We got today, we got tomorrow. And if we get time later, the chat's really hot right now. We can show rankings, but right now we got to get back to what is on people's minds here in the chat. The pretenders are back. That was the theme of the Mile High Insiders podcast last night. Hey, is this a contender? Or is this a pretender? Zach, I think we got our answer on that with gusto today. Now, that doesn't mean that this team can't go out on any given Sunday and scrape together a win. But this is not a team that's going to go win something. I mean, especially, Zach, when you continue to have key players going down with injury. I mean, losing Baron Browning that early in the game was a dagger. I mean, the Eagles, let's see, Howard rushed for 83 yards, Scott for 81, Hurts for 53. I mean, you missed that guy. And look, Zach's having some problems. We'll get him back. Look, you knew you were already down to your what, Zach? That was your fourth starting linebacker, Baron Browning, and he had been playing as good, arguably anyway, almost as good as the two guys that you started the season with for at least for the last 2 or 3 games. So to lose Baron Browning like that so early, obviously is a big reason why the Eagles were able to run roughshod over the Broncos on the ground. Drew, good to see you, bro. Mount Rushmore superstar saying, did I see Teddy jump out of the way on that fumble return? I would have benched him immediately. Yeah, but see, Vic's not going to do that. Vic has hitched his star for better or for worse, and obviously it's for worse. At least sitting here right now, it's for worse, to Teddy Bridgewater. It would take, some monumental snafu, a losing streak of 4 games. Oh, wait, no, that happened. They didn't bench Teddy. Teddy ain't getting benched, gang. As long as Vic's holding down the fort as the head coach of this team, Zach, Teddy's not going anywhere.
In terms of pretenders versus contenders, I think the Broncos told us that against Baltimore, then against Pittsburgh, then against Las Vegas, then against Cleveland, then they barely eked past the Washington football team. What happened was the Broncos got high on themselves after that 3-0 start. Then they hit a valley, and then they got high on themselves again after that Dallas win. But that was a fluke, and this is the one thing they had to avoid was reading their own press clippings. But again, there's one thing to lose a game, but when you allow Jordan freaking Howard and Boston Scott, not even the Eagles' best running backs, to run for 213 yards when you've had a week to prepare for the Eagles' running game. And by the way, raise your hand if you would take Jalen Hurts easily over Teddy Bridgewater, because I would.
Yes, indeed. Andrew Lampy, good to see you, bro. Thank you for your contributions, as always. He says, so the defensive genius got 30 hung on his defense at home by the Eagles, and then Randy up in Alaska hammers at home. Coaching. Hashtag fire Vic. Guys, here's the thing is we want to be, and we are. This is the gut reaction. This is the moment. This is the forum. This is the platform to work out the hormones, be emotional, just let it flow. But behind closed doors, as disappointed as, say, George Payton might be, his view is going to be similar to the same type of platitudes that you got from him when they traded Von Miller a couple weeks ago, which is, hey, we're at 5-5 entering the bye, gearing up for the stretch run, Zach. We're still right in the thick of things because mathematically they are. But from a spiritual perspective, you could see that today something is lacking. Donald Netanyahu, thank you for the super chat. He says, sorry, but the Broncos played well enough to win before Teddy quit on this team. They can never look to Teddy again. I'm telling you, Zach, this is a turning of the tide in terms of those fans that were, let's not say even Teddy supporters. I mean, if he's the quarterback, I support him. That kind of Broncos fan that's just like, hey, that's my quarterback. To the people who were like cautiously kind of just, I don't know, ambivalent, agnostic on the question of who should be starting. Those people are all now in the camp of this dude doesn't deserve to start. That was absolutely unacceptable.
And you were a lock guy, and you can say that, I'm supporting whoever the Broncos quarterback is. It wasn't the guy that I thought should be quarterbacking the Broncos, but I'll try to get behind him. But when you have, and boy, is he steady, isn't he, Chad? He's sure steady, Teddy. He's really balling out for the Broncos. But this is the thing. Now that they've tried out Pat Shurmur, they've tried out Mike Shula, 2 different coordinators, Chad, 2 different play calling styles, but the same offensive results. and disasters and miscues and difficulties. There's one common denominator, and that's the quarterback, and that's Teddy Bridgewater. The other common denominator is Vic Fangio. This is the offense that Fangio wants. Check it down on literally every pass. Don't go beyond 10 yards. Settle for field goals and let my defense win the game. It's an awful, awful recipe, and those that bought in initially are starting to see it's a fluke.
Here we have Josh, and thank you for the stars, bro. Josh jumping in. Thank you, buddy. He says, I'm done. I'm done with hearing about Shermer Jr. Done with Vic. Done with McMahon. Done with the horrible Teddy. I'm done with them all. I mean, guys, it's not so much. It's kind of like when I train people on staff here at MHH, whether they're podcast hosts or if they're writers, and how to kind of comport yourself on social media. It's not always what you say, it's how you say things. And the same applies to the execution of a football game. If you win, it's not always, the most important thing is, did you win? Did you lose? Don't get me wrong. But in situations like today, this wasn't just one of those hard fought, grinded out battles that they just came up short in the clutch. This was how they won was a complete and utter slop fest. I mean, that one series, Zach, I forget exactly where in the game because there was just so much chaos happening for the Denver Broncos. But that one drive, Zach, where how many penalties did they have inside the 30-yard line when they're trying to punch it in? I mean, just ridiculous. I mean, even look at Teddy. You want to talk about sloppy? It's garbage time. He's rolling out. He's got Tim Patrick breaking open basically in the middle of the end zone. He sells it 5 yards over his head. 5 yards over his head. Guys, if this was Drew Lock, if you saw Drew Lock do today what Teddy did, from the way he played to the fumble and not going after the guy, there would be dudes out for blood. And I'm going to be curious to see, because obviously it feels like the chat is out for blood relative to Teddy, but I'm curious to see from other people, colleagues in the media in and around Denver, what kind of tonality people are going to have covering this situation after seeing that performance. And then Naj jumps in, Zach, and I'll serve it back to you. He says, bros, it's particularly disheartening how poorly they play at home. Again, not necessarily that you lose. That sucks. How did you lose?
You're saying what kind of loss was this? This was a Vic Fangio-led loss. This is the same thing we've seen in all too recent years with Vic Fangio at the controls. And you can blame quarterbacking, but the coaching always comes up short. The fact that Fangio went right back to doing this, no matter the situation, folding his arms, having no energy, Chad, not pumping his fist, not getting the team riled up, that falls on him. That falls on the preparation. He was dealt, I guess, a decently tough hand with the loss of Pat Shurmur, but they come out flat, uninspired, and the Eagles played like the Broncos played against the Cowboys last week. And to your point about the penalties, Chad, whenever they have when one thing goes wrong, when they hit one pothole, all the wheels fall off. I mean, that's not a properly well-coached team. And now we see led by a quarterback like Teddy Bridgewater, who is giving up. I mean, he's literally doing this. He's been concussed. He's dealt with lower body injuries. They're losing now. He's getting criticism. I think this is not what I signed up for. I'm going to go back to being a backup quarterback. We did not even, get into Tom McMahon as one of the last questions put that there. Another week, another special teams blunder. I wonder how compromising the photos are of Vic Fangio that Tom McMahon has. I truly wonder that.
Big Earn, it's good to see you, buddy. He says they don't deserve their names on their uniforms. People are pissed off, man. People are very much disgusted on the topic of, and thanks for being with us on Twitch, Maradonita. One play action today. I didn't chart the game, so I can't say if that maybe that's true. But I'll tell you from an overall perspective, Teddy did not push the ball. He struggles to throw beyond the sticks. Even that very lackluster color commentary guy, I don't know who was that today, Zach. Who was the color guy for CBS? That dude was putting me to sleep. But either way, it doesn't matter. Neither here nor there. Let's grab Larry real quick. Appreciate you, Larry. Man, that was horrible. I thought we really were going to come and play. Whole coaching staff needs to go, and Teddy needs to be benched. But that color guy, real quick, Zach, as he opined, look, they threw it.
It was Greg Gumbel.
Was it Greg Gumbel?
Yeah.
That was the play-by-play. Who's the color guy?
Adam Archuleta, I think.
Yeah, he was. Anyway, as they opined, late in the game, garbage time, throws it deep down the sideline, draws a penalty to Cortland Sutton, and they said, look, that's something needs to happen 2-3 times a game, no matter what, just so the defense gets put on its heels a little bit. Little things like that unfortunately speak to kind of, again, a lack of presence of mind, a lack of I know what I'm doing here type of competency.
They don't have any competency, Chad, and they showed that by throwing short. It wasn't even of the sticks. It was they cut the field in quarters for themselves. If it's 3rd and 8, they check it down for 2 yards. If it's 3rd and 20, they check it down for 2 yards. It's the same kind of play calling with the same kind of quarterbacking. I'm with you. I didn't really notice or track the play action, but I did notice that Teddy Bridgewater was in shotgun on almost every dropback. Would have been nice to see him under center with the threat of the running game, but that's asking too much of this coaching staff and of this quarterback, apparently. It just was another lackluster showing by Teddy. I think you made a good observation a few weeks ago. He hasn't been right since that brain injury, that concussion, but his play has fallen off a cliff. And if you watch the games, take the blinders off, take the garbage time stats away, and look at his passes, it's a far cry from 3-0. And even during those times, there were flaws to be had in Teddy's game. He is showing why the Carolina Panthers, of all teams, replaced him with Sam Darnold. Think about that.
Yes, indeed. I'm just pulling something up real quick here. Spencer, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the stars as well, Jeremy. And then we got here an extremely generous super chat from Coach Chris. Thank you, bro. You know that means a lot to us. Helps keep the lights on. That's the truth. Thank you very much, buddy. Another one, 2 back-to-back. Wow. Thank you, Coach Chris. He says, I'm tired of this yo-yo team. This loss was horrible. Teddy should be benched for that effort or lack thereof. Coaching, horrible on both sides. We get a sack, down by 10, and you'd think we were in the Super Bowl. Look at the scoreboard, dummy. Yeah. Chris, I'd be curious what you coach. Just out of curiosity. What do you coach? Let us know in the chat. But there's nothing about anything you said there I disagree with. Teddy Bridgewater is going to be in for an uncomfortable meeting in team. When they go through the film on this together, that play, it's going to be hard to live that one down, Zach.
He should go through the most uncomfortable film sessions because he deserves it. And again, if he was another quarterback, if he wore number 3, it would be 10 times worse. But Chris, thank you so much for your generosity. I actually tweeted the same exact thing. They made a 3rd down run stop on the Eagles, down 14 with 7 minutes left, soon to be 17 points, and they were celebrating like they won a playoff game. It wasn't a good look for Denver. It seemed very hollow, and honestly, without reading too much into it, because Vic Fangio doesn't go for that, it struck me as the players kind of defying the coaching staff finally in the midst of a blowout loss at home, with the boos raining down. It's like you see the cracks and the separation now between the coaching staff and the players. That's how I'm seeing it.
We've got some serious flexing on Facebook. Jeremy Crane, Morgan Henry, Shane Daniels, Randy Jones, Tim Hoffman, Joel Juarez, Robbie Nuns. Nunzy, good to see you, buddy. Joe Spaeth, Travis Weber, Andrew Lampy, and more. I mean, it's going off. Mike Reno, Miguel, Elliot Shawn, Jeffrey Hilger, Alan Malama, and Wyatt Horning. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. Swag Nation jumping in. He says, I'm not watching another game until Drew's put in. Tired of Teddy toilet water. Shake my head. What a joke. Ain't no way you keep playing this dude. Here's the problem. Vic Fangio doesn't see it that way. Vic Fangio, he doesn't see it that way. And even George Payton, the week that, he made himself available and did a little presser after the Vaughn trade, when he was asked, hey, at what point? Now, remember, when that happened, it was coming off an ugly win over Washington. It was a win, but it was an ugly one, which was preceded by 4 straight losses. So the question to George Payton of, hey, at what point, or is there a point that you might consider making a quarterback change? He emphatically said, hey, Teddy's our quarterback, period, end of story. So it's going to take a mountainous plummet in order to see a true change or an injury. And I don't, knock on wood, I don't wish injury on anybody. Travis Weber, good to see you, bro. They followed Shermer's script and still bombed, no matter who's calling the plays. But what's the common denominator here, Zach?
Teddy Bridgewater.
Broncos fans will probably not like it or accept it. This is a Jekyll and Hyde team, and until we get some stability with an owner and a coaching staff that knows what they're doing, it's going to be the same product no matter who's on the field. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about maybe I sleep too much on how important having an owner is. I mean, I focus more on the people that are actually affecting the product on the field, and that's the GM, that's the coaching staff, and the players themselves. Dennis Woods, what's good, bro? Oh, that's weird. I just getting a feedback. Where's that coming from? Weird.
Not me.
Okay, I'll figure out how to fix that here in a second. Dennis Wood says, no reason not to try lock now. It can't get worse. Let me throw this at you real quick, Zach. If you were going to make a change, like if you had been mulling it over at any point during this season, like maybe during the 4-game losing streak, you're not going to get a better chance than now to actually make that change because you got the bye.
What I was going to say to the previous thing about Teddy was Vic Fangio is going to take this quarterback decision to his football grave, if not his actual grave. He will never admit when he's wrong about anything, about plays, about games, about coaching, staff, assistants. The last thing he'll admit that he was wrong about was Teddy Bridgewater over Drew Lock. But he's seeing that it wasn't the payoff like he envisioned, and he took a playoff caliber roster and made it into a middling 500 club that gets blown out at home by a 3-win Eagles team, now 4-win Eagles team. Entering week 10, Chad, I'm prepared for a lot of things. I did not have Vic Fangio gets outcoached by Nick Sirianni on my bingo card. I didn't think it would happen today. I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised. That's the sad thing.
Jacoy, newer name, so welcome. Thank you. Connect on Twitter. We'll keep the conversation going outside of these streams, and we like to tag our superstars. Keep in touch after each and every stream. Thank you. I'm sure this team, says Jacoy, will find some way to disappoint me next Sunday, even with it being a bye. Yeah, that's just how people are feeling right now. Hez Buster, what's good? He says, I hope Locke is back and healthy next week, so just so I can be disappointed when he doesn't start. After the preseason Locke had, he could be so good in this offense. But see, here's the thing. I think if at any point Vic Fangio was pondering, maybe I need a change, I need a spark, that performance in the second half against Baltimore where Locke did not play well in relief of Teddy when he got concussed, but at the same time received absolutely zero help from his supporting cast. Vic thinks about it, and then he recalls that game, and he goes, I'm going to stay the course. Because what Vic remembers is that stunning victory over Dallas. What Vic remembers is, figuring out a way to beat Washington and the 3-0 start. He doesn't want to think about the Drew Lock thing because he truly believes this is a guy who errs on the side of the higher floor than that of the higher ceiling. And I'm with you. Like, after that preseason that he had where he did show some steps, the one game that he started, right? That's what everyone was making the most, that's what the coaches and everyone around the team that we were hearing from bona fide insiders. It comes down to how they perform in their respective starts. Locke played like a baller. Teddy played very well too, but not that explosive chunk, like, whoa, what did I just see? This sit up in your seat type thing. But again, Vic Fangio has a very conservative mindset. He's got a very, he's a guy that is, if you say, what are you governed by, hope of gain or fear of loss? As you saw, you talked about Zach playing not to lose. He's a guy governed by fear of loss more so than hope of gain. But if you want to contend with the big boys in this league, you got to be someone unafraid of playing for hope of gain. Swing for the fences.
The thing about Locke, there's a theory out there that, and it's obvious that Vic Fangio, he can't even hide it. He's definitely soured on Drew, both as a player, it seems as a person as well, with his birthday comment where he literally did not care that he had a birthday and Teddy Bridgewater did. But there's a theory that the incident last year that led to the Broncos having no quarterbacks against the Saints, the whole CV incident that Locke was a part of, if Fangio turned on him for that, I think any chance of him seeing time this year was him ending right back up on that list. And I think there's a non-zero part of Vic Fangio that literally directly blames Drew Lock for Pat Shurmur being out for today's game. I truly think that. I think he detests him that much, at least as a football player. So you're not going to see, I'll hold firm to this going forward. And like what Chad said, unless Teddy gets injured, and I'm not hoping that happens, even though he's been injured multiple times already this year, you're not going to see Drew Lock. You'd sooner see Brett Rippon or the new quarterback Etling before you'd see Drew Lock.
Plum Bob says, and thank you, he says, I love these Broncos, but they make it very hard sometimes. It's what you call a abusive relationship that fans have right now. Like, that's how they feel with the Broncos. Bronco Broad, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Vic's disdain for Locke is biting him in the ass. I'm so over Teddy 2 yards. That's a good one. I like that one. That's my favorite riff off of Teddy Two Gloves so far. Teddy 2 yards. At least Locke would make it interesting. Here we have the Duchess. top rope as she is wont to do. Love you, Michaela. Good to see you. She says, frustrating when we need 5 yards. Teddy throws short. Can't take any more of Teddy and Fangio, but MHH for life. Hey, whatever happens, Zach, we're going to get through it together. If this team continues to torpedo its 2021 season, hey, we're going to be here to see who gets hired to replace Vic. We're going to be here to see what the quarterback solution is for next year. Like, I hate to even be talking about this as a subject sitting here in the middle of November, but this too shall pass. It's a never-ending thing, living and covering and rooting for the Denver Broncos. There's always going to be something to keep us coming back for more. That's why we're the nerds that are on this show talking into a microphone about an ugly, brutal, disgusting loss by the Broncos, and why you're in here with us. We're all cut from the same cloth.
You mentioned the relationship with the Broncos. I think it's beyond abusive now. It's a Stockholm Syndrome situation, Chad, with the Broncos. We're held captive, yet we can't get away. We love it. We love the pain of the weekly Broncos performance. But, Michaela, thank you so much. You are seriously amazing every single day. We can't thank you enough. I know it seems like a lot right now, but if you want to look at it one way, the draft is around the corner, and every Broncos loss, I'm not rooting for that to happen, but if you want to look at it that way, every Broncos loss is actually, maybe you can spin it as a positive thing for the future, but regardless, there's still some season left. Let's just see what happens. But we can only focus on today's game, and today's game was a crap show. I don't blame them for getting booed. I feel bad for Broncos country. You guys deserve so much better.
Adam Neptune, what's going on, Adam? He says, every time this team gives us something to be optimistic about, they give a double dose of crap. Teddy loses the team's respect. If he is not benched, the coaches will lose the team soon, if not already. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty egregious. It was pretty egregious, Zach. And if we wouldn't get in trouble with the social media bots out there, I would play the clip so everyone could hammer home just how egregious that particular play was for Teddy. Now, look, some people are arguing, Zach, the flip side to you saying, well, Baker Mayfield got injured trying to make a tackle today, right? And they're saying, so that's why Teddy was smart not to do that. No, dude, it's the game of football. Are you a football player? Do you lay it out on the line for your team when the chips are down or not? Teddy showed today that he told you what the answer is, and he says the right things. And look, it's probably just a momentary lapse, but I think it actually speaks to more of a meta takeaway on really Teddy's place with this team.
First of all, again, he's not the only one that did not tackle Darius Slay on his way to the end zone. There were multiple chances, but I have to agree with what Vic Lombardi tweeted. He brought up the same point. He said, play football. You're in a game. It's a do-or-die situation. Get in there. He literally matadored his way out of Slay's, path there. And you can't do that. You're the quarterback. And if we're even talking about this, if you even think Teddy Bridgewater quit on that play, then Vic Fangio already lost the team. If you lost Teddy Bridgewater, you have lost the rest of the locker room. He is the only glue holding Vic Fangio, Pat Shurmur, Tom McMahon together. He was the guy that George Paton sought and traded for, gave Vic Fangio with his job on the line, coaching for his future in Denver, and he's letting him down right now. So if you think Teddy Bridgewater has checked out, that means his teammates checked out probably long ago.
Don't worry, Spencer. We'll grab you 1 second. Donald Netanyahu bringing us some breaking news. Because remember, guys, when we do these gut reactions immediately after the game, the one thing that we forsake, that we miss out on, is being in the room when Vic's talking, knowing exactly the takeaways, what the storylines, the news, etc. So appreciate the assist here, Donald. He says, Vic was just asked about Teddy quitting. He said he didn't see it, but he's sure Teddy would have tried to tackle the runner if he could.
Of course he didn't see it. They're playing offense. This guy's the worst, man.
Golly. Willful blindness. I mean, it's like a Walter White type of fugue state where you're pretending not to be there, right? Spencer, what's going on? Appreciate you. Thanks for your patience, buddy. Obviously, a quarterback and an O-line are in need in the draft, but we need some serious playmakers in the front seven. Injuries have hit hard, but still, go Broncos. Yeah. I mean, if this team could just figure out a way to get out of the crosshairs of the injury bug, man, who knows what would be possible. But again, today, You're now your guy with the green dot on his helmet calling the plays defensively, or your defensive signal caller. Baron Browning goes down early within the first 2 series. He's done for the day. That was just, that's just the way this season has gone. And yeah, the Broncos need edge help. Vaughn's gone. You can't count on Bradley Chubb. Malik Reed, he's a solid effort guy. Jonathan Cooper might be able to be something for you, but there's just not something you can count on. You're in between a rock and a hard spot, Zach, because on one hand, your top priority, if you truly, and it seems that they truly believe this, have moved off the notion or possibility that Drew Lock could be your future, Teddy's showing you he sure as hell ain't it, then your top priority as soon as you make that coaching hire is quarterback, period, end of story, but you also need edge rusher. Talk to guys like Eric Trickle. Talk to guys like Nick Kendall, our draft experts here at MHH. This is a very deep edge class. So this is a team, Zach, depending on if they have to trade picks to move up or if they trade picks to get an Aaron Rodgers or something like that, this is a class where the Broncos could get a formidable edge guy in round 2.
I can't get over Vic Fangio now lying up on the podium, Chad. By the time Teddy Bridgewater quit on that play, it was like 10 seconds into the making. So you're going to tell me in a huge game-changing play like that, Vic Fangio's not watching by that point, at least for Teddy Bridgewater to whiff on the tackle?
Dude, let's put a call out, guys. Go get a screen grab if you have this thing recorded or you got the highlights, and give us a screen grab. If you can see Vic Fangio, I'm going to give you his position. This is what he does while the play. Right, it's like a linebacker. He's got his legs kicked out. He's got his hands on his knees. He's watching like this. If you see Vic in the frame of that shot where Teddy just makes the business decision, send it to MHH. Let's meme that bad boy. Make sure we can make it plain to everyone. Vic, he knew what he saw, Zach.
I mean, either he's lying or he's telling the truth, and that's just as bad because it means you weren't watching. What else were you doing? Why aren't you watching what's happening? I can't stand this guy. I really can't.
I feel like we're taking crazy pills here. Coach Chris again, thank you, bro. I'm buying this super chat for Zach to really speak his mind. We are who we thought they were. Unreal. He's spitting some Denny Green wisdom here, Zach.
It's true. I mean, there's an old adage, you are what your record says you are. Well, the Broncos are nothing more than a 500 team. And you can argue they're lucky to be that. They opened up against an extremely soft spate of games in those 3 opponents, and they've gone downhill pretty much since then. And everyone got gassed up off that Dallas win when at least Chad and I were on here warning you right after. Listen, they have to prove themselves still. This was 1 week. This was a really bad game for the Cowboys, the worst game they'll play all season. The Broncos played well, but let's see them duplicate that before we crown them. They didn't do that. They went right back to being the Broncos that lost to an interim special teams coordinator named Rich Bisaccia. Then the next week lost to a quarterback named Case Keenum. This is who Vic Fangio is with the Broncos. These are his teams, and nothing's going to change. Nothing.
Can't count on it. You can't count on anything Vic is doing as a head coach except the instability, up and down, hot one game, cold the next. Like that's the only thing, you can predict is the unpredictable. And that's the problem here, Zach, is, look, coaches stand up there. Coach Chris probably knows this if he really is a coach, that one of the things that you try and just grind into people's heads when you're coaching them is consistency is key. And when you as a coach cannot provide a consistent product on the field and you're in your 3rd year as the head coach, again, I ask myself, what in the Sam Hill was the logic? You make the big PR move for John Elway to step down as GM. Someone's got to pay, right? 5 years of not making the playoffs after hoisting the Lombardi. Someone's got to finally pay. All right, cool. John steps down. You hire a new GM. But what was the logic of keeping Vic, who won, 7 games as a first-year head coach, 4 of which came in the final 5 thanks to Drew Lock and the way the team responded to Drew.
Imagine that.
Year 2, what'd they win last? 5-11, if I'm not mistaken, right? Weren't they 5-11 last year? Pretty sure. Or was it 6-10? Either
I thought
way.
It was 6-10.
Either way. All right. 13 wins out of 32. What logic, what frame of mind possessed Joe Ellis and John Elway to, hey, George, thanks for taking this interview. By the way, if you accept the job, we're going to ask that you retain Vic Fangio. Why? Morgan, how can we bottle up Zeke and friends, but let Scott and Howard look like Pro Bowl running backs in our own house?
I'm saying. I mean, part of that is because you caught Zeke and friends again at their worst point of the entire season. They rebounded in a big way today, trouncing Atlanta. But the Broncos tend to have this proclivity to playing down to their competition. Take away the 3 games they played to open the year. When they play a team like the Case Keenum-led Browns, they lose that game. When they play a team like the Raiders without John Gruden and all that going on, they lose that game. When they play the Eagles team with a first-year head coach who's drawing a lot of criticism on his own, a rocky second-year quarterback, and an Eagles offense, Chad, that was without their best running back, but you allow their backups to go off for 213 yards. That's who Vic Fangio is, and that's who they'll always be under Vic Fangio.
You know what the irony is? Last week, and then we're going to grab Troy here. Last week, only one MHH staffer picked the right winner, and that was Kenneth Booker. Picked the Broncos, not in the fashion that they did. That was his qualifier, but he did pick the Broncos. This week, only one MHHer staffer picked the Eagles. Scott Kennedy. Scott Kennedy, you were right. Shout out to Scott. Troy, what's good, brother? That was a rough one. Peace and love from Philly, man. MHHUN. I was hoping you'd get bragging rights, dog. We were talking about this. We were really hoping you were going to get bragging rights, but they crapped the bed. Patrick D. Well, they are who we thought they were. Robbie Nunzi. Good to see you, Robbie. Thank you for the stars. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. The entire staff needs to go. We are so far away from what Pat Bowlen would tolerate. We need some military-grade binoculars. It's a damn joke. We need to go all out for a young offensive mind, hell, any offensive mind, and rebuild our Broncos culture. Well said, Robbie. Well said, my friend. And yes, you got to believe, and this is what, Pat Bowlen would not be accepting this, right? That's the thing that I probably sleep on is, Pat Bowlen, he had a champion's heart, and we saw that come out in the wash many, many times. But any owner, when there's a boss, when the buck stops at the very top, and this belongs to me, like at the end of the day, this is my company, this is my organization, I own this thing. People have accountability. They look over their shoulder. It informs, Zach, their effort, their execution, their work ethic, the whole 9 yards, and that is what you're missing. Not to say that there aren't people who make decisions in the organization at the 10,000-foot level, like Joe Ellis and John Elway and all that. But guys, it's like the fact that there's no one that could fire those guys, and they're not owners, I think is really part of what is symptomatic here. Scotty J, thank you, buddy. What is it about Fangio's defense against mobile quarterbacks? I just think they can't execute those game plans. Like, it's the edges. And again, you lost one of your starting linebackers for most of the games.
Well, I mean, the point about the owner, even if they had an owner, he wouldn't be on the field missing tackles, missing open receivers, fumbling the ball. I don't subscribe to that too much. If they had better coaching, they would have won this game. Like every other situation, it would have been nice for the Broncos to have their ownership situation resolved, but I don't think it would have led to too many victories directly. If you subscribe to that, then why aren't the Cowboys worse with Jerry Jones then? If he's such a meddling, bothersome owner, they blew out the Falcons today. Against mobile quarterbacks, I don't know what Vic Fangio's problem is. It seems like he takes these quarterbacks for granted. I don't understand, by the way, the criticism that Jalen Hurts gets. I thought he's actually a pretty solid quarterback, and he demonstrated that today. Vic Fangio, another letdown performance, didn't have him up for the game, didn't have a good game plan. That's asymptomatic of the recent Broncos.
By the way, Christian, appreciate you, bro. You said, like I said at my TV all day, unfrickin' real. Eric Ortegon, good to see you, brother. He says, I'm so sick of trying to make I'm not going to say that one, buddy, but we get what you're saying. This BS with you can't coach what Teddy does. Only Locke has been held accountable.
I just got it.
Pathetic. Yeah, bro. Funny joke, but that's not something I could say on a live stream podcast to thousands and thousands of people. Zach?
Chad, you can't make a journeyman quarterback into a franchise quarterback. You can't make an aging Joe Flacco into an in his prime Joe Flacco. It's the same kind of analogy there, and it's true. And the Broncos, the sooner they learn that and they start to build up their own young quarterback, the better off they'll be for the future.
Leon says, thank you, Leon. Every pass from Teddy is 6 yards and under. It's a wonder we even have a running game. Defenses can stack the box with 8 or 9 men and still be okay. Yeah, again, guys, this is the price you pay when you err and hedge on the side of the floor instead of ceiling. 727 Mills says, get Teddy out of there right now. Want to see Locke after the bye week. Who knows? Maybe Vic Fangio will completely stun us and make a quarterback change because, it's just that bad. Even last week in Dallas, Zach, Teddy played pretty buttoned up, efficient ball, but he had a prolific rushing attack. You take that away, and I get it, guys. The devil's advocate to my argument here is, Chad, pick the quarterback. You take the running game away, of course they're not going to be as good. No kidding. But for Teddy in particular, when those things are taken from him, he is not of the caliber where he can rise above, right? He can't put a team on his back and carry. And maybe Drew can't either, all right? Maybe he can't. But let's think back to Vic Fangio's signature wins. Let's start with year one. Going into Houston and decimating the eventual AFC South champions. Who was the tip of the spear in that game? It wasn't the rushing attack. Heck, it wasn't even the defense. It was Drew Lock, who became the first quarterback ever to go on the road in his first career start and throw for 300-plus yards and 3 tutties. All right, second signature win. What would it be, Zach? We can talk about the Dallas game. It is a signature win, but is there one in between maybe last year? The comeback against the Chargers?
Carolina,
Houston. Drew Lock, 284 touchdowns. You see the theme I'm going through here? He's shown that despite his flaws and despite his, young quarterback still growing, he has the upside to put a team on his back. He just hasn't been able to show that he can do that consistently. We don't see that from Teddy. Faded Wolf. Still would rather see Locke out there. I'm tired of seeing the same 3 to 5 yard passes. It's horrible. No worries about a splash play. No explosiveness. In fact, their biggest play today, Zach, was a short little underthrow that Alberto squoze through 2 guys and took it for 60-plus yards. That's how Teddy makes his money.
Well, let me just say that having Teddy Bridgewater in the lineup gives Vic Fangio plausible deniability. If you switch to Drew Lock, it's going to further cast light on the decision he made in the first place. But if you stick it out there with Teddy Bridgewater, he can sit back and say, listen, I'm giving him all the opportunity. I'm sticking by him. And whatever Teddy does, he's digging the grave on his own. That's the type of coach and type of person that Vic Fangio has shown himself to be. And I'll say it again, he'll take this decision to his football grave. The last thing he'll do is admit he was wrong and put Drew Lock in there.
I'm going to grab Westside Philly and then one here from Michael Ronquillo before the chat, before I have to move on from him here. Westside Philly. Appreciate you, bro. 3rd and 20, 21-yard line, 5-yard check down. Teddy, 2 yards. Michael, good to see you, bro. I'm going to flash you and then put you off because it's so many words. He says, good evening, Chad, Zach, MHH, gut reaction. Coaching staff was back to its old self with bad coaching and players giving up on plays and not showing what they did against the Cowboys. Then they come back home to the Mile High Stadium, play like trash against the Eagles. Changes need to come now and start over. Start over at quarterback. If you can make a change with a realistic chance of it working somewhat, make it. You can make a change at quarterback. This is the downside, Zach, to what we were saying at the time when they made the call to go with Teddy is you can always turn to Teddy. This is a key moment. Like, let's say they had gone with Drew Lock to open, right, the season, and this is just replace Teddy's performance this season with Drew. This is a moment where it's like, hey, Drew, we gave it the old college try in year 3. We're going to the backup. You did your best, but we're moving on. You can do that and get by. But with Drew, it's much harder to do it the other way around for multiple reasons, and you don't know what it cost you in terms of what it did to him between the years. Joe Spaeth, how do you go 3 and out during garbage time? Down 3 scores in the 4th. It is the easiest time to pick up yards. And then you punt. I mean, look, I get it. You're down 3 scores, Zach. 7 minutes left. 4th down. You're definitely inside your own 30. But what's the logic behind punting it there when are you trying to win the game? Because there's no way possible if you punt the ball there with 3 scores separating the gap here. There's no way possible. Like, you just completely gave up on what small chance you had to maybe bridge the gap.
But it's so surprising too because situational coaching has always been Fangio's strong suit, So it's the fact that he's letting us down there is truly surprising. If you want change though among the coaching staff, this is a really interesting comment, Chad, because we haven't seen the pressers yet. We haven't seen the quotes after the game. And apparently what James is saying here, I don't know what Draymond Jones said, but did he talk about Vic Fangio's game plan? Did he mention the Baltimore game? The cracks in that level of veneer among the Broncos and the players, that's what I was talking about earlier, the coaches and the players. When they celebrate a meaningless third down stop and they react that way, when Teddy Bridgewater gives up on a game-changing play, that's a signal that there's not a connection between the Broncos coaching staff and their players. And I think this loss is going to widen that, especially if Draymond Jones outwardly and publicly criticized that. Same guy, by the way, who asked about the quarterback competition earlier this offseason.
Bro, here's what he said per Kliss. Draymond Jones on trouble stopping the run. Quote, combination of us not executing and coaching. Hey, coaches like Fangio, they love throwing players under the bus. Now it's time the player throws, the coaching game plan under the bus.
I first of all, thank you, Draymond, for saying what we're all thinking, and maybe that'll get some change going. It'll force George Payton's arm a little more. And it's surprising because what I was going to say, Draymond's the same guy who was asked about the quarterback competition over the summer, I believe it was, and he goes, I don't give a bleep.
Yeah, right.
So for him to come out and be that on the nose about the problems plaguing the Broncos, it just goes to show you that he's the mouthpiece for the locker room. What he's saying is what the rest of his teammates are thinking and feeling.
Yeah, he's done. Fangio, he's done. When it's coming out in the wash like that. Chris, thank you, brother. He says, love you guys, but please stop saying this too shall pass. It's been 6 years and it isn't passing. I know when you're in the middle of it, dude, it feels like it's never going to end. All right. But if you don't harbor somewhere, Chris, the hope or expectation, even if it's a small seed that things will change, that things will get better, then you're not leaving room to actually see that change come. So does it suck right now? Yeah, bro, it does. And when you're in it, it hurts, man. And it's disgusting and you hate the way it feels, but it will pass. Does that make what happened today acceptable? In no way, shape, or form. Kayaka.
Like a 6-year kidney stone. Let me just say that.
You know what's funny? There's a little inside baseball for you. Right before we went live tonight, Zach, what did you say to me?
About
optimism?
Yeah.
Something to the effect of, hey, Chad, dude, just word of advice. Villagers are going to be out for blood. I'd maybe, pump the brakes on optimism tonight.
Just looking out for you guys.
Kayaka, love you, bro. He says, no love, atrocious defensive scheme, or no heart, sorry. No heart, atrocious defensive scheme, poor tackling. Yeah, dude. And then you have Draymond Jones literally pointing to the coaching. Yo, dude, guys, that is a headline. Zach, that's something, in fact, we need to write up as soon as this freaking podcast is done. Mike Reno, appreciate the stars, brother. He says, I'm beyond words with the coaching staff and Teddy holding the ball too long. Not hating, but changes need to be made if we expect to win. Exactly. At what point do you say, no, we're going to continue staying the course. We're not making any changes. This isn't working. You have to eventually tweak things if you have any hope of getting a season that you got 10 games under your belt now on track.
I don't think it's hyperbole to say that these comments being made now publicly by one of his prized defensive players, this could be the beginning of the end of Vic Fangio. And it might not be right now or over the bye week, but it's shaping up like a virtual certainty, a guarantee he will be fired on Black Monday. And at this point, it's well-deserved. It is a headline, Chad, but it's also something that has to be said because you felt it brewing right underneath the surface for multiple weeks now. We've talked about it before, the Broncos quitting. I think they quit against Cleveland. That was a clear give-up moment, but nothing was really said. He was able to keep it under the lid, and especially so after the Dallas game. But now the lid is boiling over, tensions are rising, and the bad blood is seeping out.
What's crazy is Vic Fangio earlier this week on the subject of Jalen Hurts completely genuflected and kissed the ring and said, I think Philly's got their guy. And then you don't call a defense that respects the threat he poses. I mean, I don't know. Dennis Wood says, don't tell me we're still in it at 5-5. No chance. I feel you, brother. Wyatt, thank you for the stars. Did we get this one, by the way? What is it from Scotty J? What is it about Fangio's D and mobile quarterbacks? Yeah, I don't know, man.
Not having the player, especially an inside linebacker, for multiple years, and like you mentioned, Baron Browning going down, Chad, I think that was a big blow. He's been playing really solid football as of late.
Here we have Tim Hoffman saying the Eagles came and played desperate with their record. Broncos defense couldn't get the team off the field. All they did was run. I'm glad we got a bye week to regroup for the next game. You need to do more than regroup, Tim. At this stage, it's a dark night of the soul tonight. Like, it's mighty change of heart time, because there was just, this is too much. And it'd be one thing, Zach, if this was the only game this year in which you saw that kind of ugly slop fest, eyes cast to the dirt, no heart type of performance. But it's a pattern. It's a weird pattern, but it's a pattern that has been established this season. Yep. All right, that was me. Let me scroll down here. Oh, wow, Owen. Geez, that's a flex, my friend.
Wow.
He says, been listening to you guys for a while, but the first time watching live. About the Broncos, they say they couldn't open up the playbook with Locke, but what about Teddy not being able to pass beyond the sticks? Touche. Owen, thank you so much, dude. That's a first-time super chat from a budding superstar. Welcome. Stick around, Owen. Appreciate it. Hey, maybe you got a schedule where you can't make it in the live shows, but it's not hard to plan for it. Just FYI, we're live 7 days a week, 6 o'clock Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much, buddy. Connect with us on Twitter.
Thank you so much, Owen. And, it's past a joke now. Either they don't want Teddy to throw beyond 10 yards or he's physically incapable of throwing beyond 10, 20 yards or so, Chad. I've never seen an offense in all my years watching football take less chances down the field than the 2021 Denver Broncos. It's pathetic.
All right, listen up. We're at 56 minutes and we got fish to fry as far as getting some news up on the game. So I'm going to rapid fire some supers. Okay, we might not be able to flash everybody, but we're going to make sure we get to everybody, starting with Bryce Mindset. Appreciate you, brother. Great to see you. He says, a true leader does not put himself before the team. Well said. Zyka Bowden says, and good to see you, Zyka, this is exactly why a virtual tie should always go to the homegrown player. That is what you get from a mediocre quarterback that doesn't even care. Ed Keating, well said, dude. The tie should go to the guy that you invested in. The tie should go to the guy that you have sacrificed for. Word. Ed Keating, good to see you, brother. He says, Vic and Teddy have no heart. I'm done. No more wins coming, in my opinion. Time for Locke. Jeremy Black Knight 232, Zach says, well, the Broncos disappointed me tonight, but at least the Razorbacks won the boot last night, so it balances us out. Good for you, brother. Glad you got something to hang your hat on. Jess says, this team makes me so mad. And then here's one, Zach, a question for you from Manny Wise. Good to see you, Manny. Been with us a long time. He says, do you guys think the players have had enough of this coaching staff, Zach?
I mean, I just saw the tweet. I just commented on the tweet from Mike Kliss. Kliss ended the tweet by saying, wow. When Mike Kliss is even intimating that in itself is something to bear in mind. So I think the players are beyond annoyed. They're beyond frustrated when you have Teddy olaying and matadoring out of the way from a game-changing fumble, and he didn't give any effort. When the quarterback like Teddy Bridgewater quits on a play, what does that say about the rest of the team? It means they are checked out on Vic Fangio. And honestly, how could you blame them?
The damage control, Zach, has begun on what Draymond said. Real quick. So this is from Kliss. All right. So in the team meeting aftermath immediately following the game, here's Kliss. Quote, I was just told that what Draymond said, combination of us not executing and coaching. I was just told this is what Fangio told the team in the post-game meeting. Problem was lack of execution and coaching. So it would suggest Draymond was repeating what Fangio told him and the team rather than finger pointing. Do you buy this in any way, shape, or form, Zach? Hashtag damage control.
Yeah, I think it's Kliss being Kliss, and he's kind of making me eat my own words there a little bit. But Draymond might have been parroting what he heard in the locker room, but even so, that's inside the locker room talk. I mean, you're admitting that the coaches and the players failed at home in a pretty crucial scenario. I think that is damage control. He's walking that back a little bit, but the damage has been done, and everything lives forever on social media. And honestly, we didn't need Draymond Jones to say what he said. We all knew that. Some of us have been saying that for quite a while now. But if you want Fangio gone, you want players like Draymond speaking out and letting those inside secrets out.
It's a plausible way to control the damage. All right. Because people can go, yeah, if that's what you just heard. And, the other aspect to it, Zach, is Draymond has never been a guy that really thinks very much at the podium in terms of, like, he's said some pretty just dumb, cringy stuff at times. But I'm telling you right now, even if that's what Vic Fangio said, for Draymond Jones to stand up there at the podium, it's a Freudian slip of some sort that speaks to a larger macro issue. And I think Kliss being the one to immediately jump on and try walking it back tells you something, gang. He got told straight up because it's damage control. And Eddie, by the way, love you, bro. Eddie says, came to see the game from Austin. By the way, got your message earlier, bro. Sorry, when the games are going, dude, we are so slammed. Sorry I couldn't reply, but glad to hear that you made it. He said, same results as watching it at home. Ugh. Phoenix Kukini says, and thank you, going to be hard to want to watch or care the rest of the season without change. Zero fire. Play lock from here on out and see what you've got. This crap show ain't working. And then Coach Chris with another super chat, Zach, saying, as a coach, you never want the fans to dictate how you coach. But come on, man. You have the NFL leading running back in terms of getting the tough yards, and you have Gordon run the ball, a touchdown called back, no discipline. On that subject, guys, I don't want to hear that Javonte Williams leads the league in the most stuffs. All right, the running back, meaning that he's the running back who gets stuffed, has the most stuffs, where the defense stuffs him for no gain or a loss. What I want to draw your attention to is the other statistic in which he leads the NFL, which is the most forced tackles, most missed tackles forced, in the NFL. That's what you hang your hat on, is the fact that, hey, this is a guy that makes dudes miss more than any back in the league. Give him the rock. Zach, here's Sam, and it's a question. What if I told you there was never a Broncos QB competition? Yo, I just got red pilled. I feel like I'm Neo, and Sam J is Morpheus.
I see the meme flashing in front of my eyes right now. In terms of Javonte, though, he has to make yards on his own when you have the offensive line with Dalton Reisner surrendering pressure like he breathes, when you have Cameron Fleming starting at right tackle and Calvin Anderson at left tackle, Chad. I feel bad for Javonte. I wish he had better blocking up front. Who knows what he can do? Who knows what he can do if he's given the rock on 4th and 1 in a do-or-die scenario? Back on the quarterback competition, this is a months-old topic now, but I'm tending to agree. There was never a true competition. Every time Vic Fangio said even Steven, he was absolutely lying through his teeth, Chad. And what his actions and his words about Drew Lock since then have proven that. He made a impulsive, emotional move to go with Teddy Bridgewater instead of looking at the facts and the long-term outlook of the franchise, because he doesn't care about that. It doesn't affect him. He only cares about this season and Vic Fangio. That's all.
It was a self-serving move. Zyka, what's good, bro? Again, thank you. Number 2 for tonight. He says, Fangio is a manipulative egomaniac and has destroyed what the last few years was invested to be because of it, just to lie to us all and offer excuses. Yes, indeed, bro. Najee again, thank you, buddy. To me, this was Teddy's worst game. He absolutely gave up on that tackle, and it was particularly disappointing because they were still within one score. That was the game changer. That was the pivot point, the turning point. Fangio credits himself in wins, but takes no responsibility in losses. Well said, brother. Well said. That speaks to the, lack of accountability.
He just blames other coaches for player safety while exhibiting none of his own. He's also a hypocrite on top of being a bad coach.
Mark, good to see you, brother. The God King weighing in to say, what's up, my guys? We suck. That's it. Good night. Appreciate it, Mark. Keep your chin up, big dog. Westside Philly says, Philly fans will bring this up for years into the future. Trust me. I know. Yeah.
They should.
It was a
Who
beat
can
down
blame
at
them?
home.
The Broncos fans are going to bring up the Cowboys win, or beating the Cowboys. Why wouldn't the Eagles? They deserve that because their team played a lot better than the Broncos.
David Wilder says, the evidence is there. Fangio and the rest of the staff need to be fired. Zach and Chad are making a great closing argument as to why Fangio and company need to be fired. Hey, man, we just report. It is what it is. Do you have eyes to see? Coach Chris, Zach, with another one. We got to rapid fire because we got to go. Thank you, Chris. With our running backs, you have to spread the defense to get them really going. 3 and 4 yard dump passes just gets the defense to play shallow and stack the box. Teddy can't.
Can't
Teddy can't tackle Waters. Come on, man. That's a good one. I like it. Robbie Nunzi says, did get Zach's view on ownership, but if we had Bolin, I don't think we would have Fangio this year. Problem solved. Guarantee you wouldn't. I could promise you would not.
Well, the thing about making the case, we don't have to make the case for the same reason Chad said. Vic Fangio is making his own case, and Teddy Bridgewater is making his own case. We're just furthering along the facts and giving them to you, and if whatever conclusion you come to is on your own. But most of us now, at this point, Chad, even the pro-Fangio, pro-Teddy people are starting to get on board.
Base Gay says, it looks like Draymond called out the coaching staff after he was asked about the run defense. See Zach Stevens' tweet. Yeah, locker room is lost. We feel you on that, big dog. We really do. And we just touched on that. Hopefully you saw that. All right, let's see. Base Gaze. Relo Takeover says, go on Broncos Twitter to see the live reaction, MHH. Yeah. The problem is when we're streaming and we have thousands of people listening and then thousands of people that are going to be listening after the fact as podcasts uploaded, we don't really have time to split our what we're trying to listen to what they say and then also carry a conversation, because we can't necessarily, well, I guess we could start showing this stuff. Hey, Scott, we could start actually live streaming some of these things because that's not protected. Brian Van Vorst, I have seen kickers and punters give more effort than Teddy on that fumble return. And then to come back the next drive, miss a wide open touchdown by 20. I'm surprised he could throw it that far. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Howie says, this team has no frickin' heart when the frickin' chips are down. Teddy looked like frickin' Cam in Super Bowl 50. How do you guys feel about the heart of this frickin' team? Are they done or just done with this frickin' coaching staff, Zach?
How did we freaking get here, Chad? That's what I'm asking myself. We're talking about a quarterback that can't throw beyond 10 yards and we're laughing about it. Really, how did we get here? Is 2015 or February of 2016 that far off from now? I don't know, Howie. I wish I had an answer for you. I do think there's no heart of the team. They're an unbeating heart at this point, and they've died, I think, long ago. They are deceased for the season. Just a reminder, though, friendly plug, if you want your coaching shirt, huddleuppod.com right now.
Yes, indeed. Corey H., appreciate you, bro. He says, I am a benefit of the doubt kind of person, but the Teddy not tackling was beyond me. A fumble you can't have and a non-tackle on the same play, absolutely horrible. Yes, it was. Josh, again, thank you, Josh. If the Raiders, Lions, Browns, Jets, etc. can deal with the rough times over the years, so can we. It truly will pass. Broncos for life. Appreciate you guys. Hey, it's not about optimism, threads of optimism to explain away what we're seeing. It's just realizing that change is going to come. And when that change comes, all we can hope is that it'll be positive. Dave, what's up, brother? Glad I had to work. Ugh, I just can't. And with that, guys, we got to dip on out of here. Thanks to each and every one of you for joining us. Zach, if you want to do the rundown, I'll just grab how we finished on Facebook and give everyone their props.
You know what the messed up thing is, Chad? We can't use work as an excuse because we were working while watching the Broncos and we were still subjected to that.
It's like having your eyelids surgically removed. Like I was watching Hellboy last night with my kids, and the bad guy in the first one, he was like addicted to surgery or something and had his eyelids removed. That's what it's like.
As I'm watching, 7-0 Kansas City coming up over Vegas. But that was the Huddle Up podcast. This was the gut reaction pod after the Broncos lost to the Philadelphia Eagles, which probably, I think at this point, kind of puts a major dent in their playoff hopes. But if follow us, you'll buy it right now, Robbie. We appreciate you. HuddleUpPod.com, coaching shirt. I think it's never been more appropriate than it is right now. But go to Twitter, follow us at HuddleUpPod. You can follow the main account for all your Broncos news. We're going to have a fresh batch of dispatches coming your way in the hours following this loss at Mile High Huddle. You can follow Chad on Twitter at Chad and Jensen. You can follow myself at Kelberman NFL. Go to huddleuppod.com and get yourself a coaching shirt. Get yourself a football pre shirt. Get yourself anything that you see fit, all right there at huddleuppod.com. go to facebook.com/milehighhuddle. Hit that big blue button. We had a great episode of KK Kelberman's Corner earlier today. We have Broncos Book Club and Trickle Zone each and every week. $5 a month. I promise you guys it's worth it. We appreciate you. Also, facebook.com/milehighhuddlepod. Like that page. And if you haven't, go to Apple Podcasts and leave your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some swag each and every month. But please, if anything, do these 3 things and take a few seconds. Subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It helps us grow and reach more Broncos. Sad, depressed Broncos fans just like you.
Well said. All right, guys, shout out to these Facebook supporters. Appreciate each and every one of you. Jeremy Crane, Robbie Nuns, Randy Jones up in Alaska, Morgan Henry, Tim Hoffman, Mike Reno, Joel Juarez, Travis Weber, Joe Spaeth, Randy Ankar, Miguel Santisteban. I think I got close there. Santisteban, Elliot Sean, Wyatt Horning, Howie Frickin' Day, David Wilder. Love the profile pic, Big Dog. Thomas Murray, Isaac Dabaja, George Fox, Alan Malama, Jay Helms, and that's it on Facebook. Love you guys. Keep your chin up. We'll see. We'll be waiting on bated breath to see if the Broncos have the intestinal fortitude to make the necessary changes during the bye. Time will tell. Let's just not get our hopes up, but we'll wait and see, Zach. We got a dip though.
While you keep your chins up, if you do dabble, have yourselves a cold adult beverage. You guys have earned it after witnessing that horrible performance today. We'll be back tomorrow night for the aftermath episode of the Huddle Up Pod. Take care, and as always, go Broncos.